Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be on a Seiko Lordmatic, and the reason why I'm showing this watch on the channel is because of that multifaceted crystal. This is the first multifaceted crystal watch that I purchased that is actually in fairly good condition. That crystal is almost in brand new condition, so I really want to show you guys this watch. And so if you're not familiar with multifaceted crystals, the idea is that there's multiple surfaces or edges, whereas in a typical watch crystal, it's just flat or domed. But you can see here, there's so many geometric surfaces to it. I did show off a Lordmatic about a year or two ago, but it didn't have such a faceted look as this one. So I really want to show this off today. So this particular model is the 5606-7310. I don't think the model number really matters because a lot of these Lordmatics have this multifaceted crystal. And not just the Lordmatics, if you look at vintage King Seiko watches, the King Seiko Vinax will also have this multifaceted look. And also some newer watches like the Seiko, I believe it's the SARB, S-A-R-B 001, 003, and 005 will also have this multifaceted look. But let's skip the crystal for now. Let's look at the dial here. You can see it kind of has this gradient look where it's light in the middle but dark towards the edges. It's really hard to photograph or get on video just how the dial looks. I'm going to try my best to kind of show it off here, but it is really difficult. It's really something you got to see in person to fully appreciate. And this whole look here, especially with those indices, they're kind of like these jeweled indices. There's no jewels, but the indices kind of have these different steps to it to give it that 3D jeweled look. It's very 70s. A lot of Seiko watches from the 70s kind of have these funky looks to it. They're not the typical or the more traditional looks that you'd see of Seiko from like the 1950s and 60s, and then the 80s, 90s, and so forth. Seiko kind of became more conservative, more traditional, but the 70s, you kind of have these really special, funky looking watches. So that does mean that this watch, sometimes the legibility isn't the best because of that multifaceted, because of the dial colors and everything that's going on. It does sometimes it'll be difficult to see what's going on. But if you can get it at the right condition or at the right lighting, it does look really, really nice. So I'll try my best to show you that multifaceted look on that crystal. The thing about these multifaceted crystals is that they can chip pretty easily, and it makes sense, right? Because there's so many different edges here. And if those edges you bang against something, they can get chipped or cracked or scratched really easily. So, and of course you can't really polish a multifaceted watch crystal. So once these things get banged up, you pretty much just have to replace them. And so a lot of them you'll see online, they are not in the best shape because, again, yeah, there's so much damage to them. So my suspicion is that this one was probably replaced with a new crystal because I believe this watch is from the 1970s. So I don't think this crystal would survive that long without a replacement. So that's why you can see here, it's just in such good condition. And just overall, this watch, the condition's pretty good. You can see that there's no major gashes to the case at all. The case back is in good condition. The bracelet has some sag to it, but it is an original Seiko Lordmatic bracelet, which you don't see very often. This is actually quite rare. Usually the bracelets, because Lordmatic, it's not, a super premium Seiko sub-brand, so oftentimes these bracelets will be missing or be completely unusable, but at least this one, it's still in working order. I don't think the bracelet is anything special. You can see it's also rolled links. And yeah, the clasp, it's not a high quality bracelet. It's pretty much standard, but it is nice that it's overall pretty clean. You don't see too much dirt on it. And it is, again, an original Lordmatic bracelet, which does fit the Lordmatic watch. The last thing I'll do here is get it on my 6-inch wrist. The lug to lug is 42 millimeters, so it fits my 6-inch wrist pretty well, but I think it would also fit large wrists as well. And yeah, just looking at it, it's so different, it's so unique. I think Seiko's, not just Lordmatics, but Seiko's in general from the 1970s, they took a lot of bold steps and they have a lot of funky, weird designs. I think if you wore this watch out in public, it would definitely catch people's eyes because it's just, the crystal's different, the indices, the kind of gradient gradient dial. The case is even the more vintage style. Even the bracelet looks different from your traditional bracelet. Everything about this watch is just so different from what you traditionally expect from a wristwatch. And of course, on top of all that, it is a mechanical watch. And actually, one more thing I want to mention. I'm going to take this off here. One little, I guess, bad thing about Lordmatics and Seikos from this era is that the day date feature, the quick set date or the quick set day typically breaks, so you're not able to change the date easily. But this one here, you can see if I make some changes, yes, you can see the quick set date, or the quick set day. I always forget which one's the day, which one's the date. You can see I can still change both quickly with the crown, which is really awesome. That doesn't happen very often with these watches because, again, Lordmatic, it's not the most expensive lineup, so that day date wheel, that quick set, it typically breaks, but this one is still in good condition and it's still working. So that is my feature for the Seiko Lordmatic. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something and got a chance to see this beautiful watch. Be sure to subscribe for more videos, and as always, I'll see you guys next time.